Aje children soje chonala shajo padu dana dachi dake chishe jeve samani lola benshi sanje lulabashi sanje children soje chonala shajo padu dana dachi dake chishe jeve samani lola benshi sanje lulabashi chudang suje jangja bada dhamma jati dake chishi jebe sama gola pinshu sanje Okay, good evening again. Good evening again. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Geshe.
Stock. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Have you had dinner? Everyone eat the dinner? You can hear it, right? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, my iPad's frozen. Well, we got maybe internet here. It's okay. Okay, everyone. We do learn meditation, okay? How to learn to learn meditation? We already meditation in the Kamabari and before Wednesday class. Couple months we meditation. I hope we already have the realization and the Kamabari.
We need 6 months.
Anyway, therefore we do learn meditation, try to concentration, and try to keep your mind, your own mind, on the person right now. When they become a little bit solid or stable, then visualization, refuge in front of you, keep your mind on that in order to benefit all mother sentient beings and need to blessing and protect from the refuge. Think of that to a little bit meditation. Okay. Even because I feel that I don't need to use my voice strongly. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's a wonderful to be all coming physically and virtually. Virtually, how is it? Virtually, right? It's virtually. Physically and virtually come back to our practice on praise. We need to find the purpose to practice or study. I think that there are so many different purpose, the main things to develop for our positive minds and abide to negative minds. For us, usually we have three actions: body, through the body, through the speech, through the mind. It also depends for. Therefore, Buddha said, purity your mind, the teaching of Buddha means not means all the minds. You can say any kind of thoughts, any kind of mind, rest. First means take care of peace. Then also others. Then through each also the actions uncomfortable for others and ourselves. Opposite mind, any kind of thoughts or any kind of mind arise over any time. It makes ourselves happy, peace, or relaxed. And through that all others also overcome peace. Through that our speech and actions also peace for ourselves and others. That kind of mind we need to what we say about. The second mind is we need to cultivate. That is the how to what means abide and cultivate and also purpose to practice. And also always say the science of practice if our our own attitude or our own personality will be changed. That shows our practice going well. We practice for however, but our personality is same. Very easy to upset. Very easy to make to change. Of course, our practice with a lot of merit, but it really doesn't go deeper. Okay? Therefore, talk a little bit. How do they make and we do through the meditation? First, analytical meditation, then concentration. And those that makes to our practice to very powerful and very meaningful. And when we have some difficult time someday, we have just something to very solid, we can trust or we are very trust something. Otherwise, right now we have some challenge coming with okay, which one I can do. Like that, okay? Therefore, purpose practice and purpose study is like trying to look that way. Another way, oh, I studied my Buddhism many years, but I'm the same person. Then I discourage. Don't discourage. It's not easy. Therefore, try to as much as you can. Okay? This is like a little bit describe basic practice or study Buddhism. Then right now we are going to the great master Nagarjuna. He wrote that he's a close friend to how to keep your own life, good person, and take care for your own kingdoms, your family, and your practice. Like it's very basic practice or study or advice for everyone. Like that. Okay? We already gone many verses. I hope you guys read something, then you can get something. And also, last week we went to the verse 1 by 1. Verse 17. It's also talk about, I think we need to like a very stable person. Very stable person. Yeah, stable, our mind is very, very picky, right? We're not very stable. How they make us stable? We need to change something. Any activities, any situations. Go with your own idea, your own wish, then you become a pretty good person. Something little bit things go you don't like or you're not happy, then you will need to change. Therefore, you do not like that way. They say, your metta, how you say, dry, and the water, the negative thoughts, negative actions, be like that, not keep longer. Then what we need, positive actions, we need to try to, ground. That was not easy to, take away. Best way is to write on the stone to there is the however. That means I think we need to more like stable person. You can understand that way. 세상에서 뭐 zamlilena mite tempo yowana mitsamega midla chashasa. 아니 mitsamega 그 글씨는 작으러 와서.
In the world, if somebody is stable, then people will trust and rely on.
Right? 제가 내 안에 딱 갈lum나가디 단 지금 lum바치기 잡보러 나게 와서 잡보인 받아야나 까지 템포식 단지도 말로와시고 그래. 대 고쳐도 와.
And so, because this advice is also given, to the king, so therefore, it's also referring to the king, being more stable, not easily falling either way.
제다다 취냠내 제바나 아니 밑tem보치 아니 되지 요나 아니 냠내대 야보지 거야 그래. 다 데리치지 산이 말하고 제나니 말하고 짜자 쟤네지 소소지 말하고 짜자 쟤네도 밑tem보시라 배워 인사 아니 냠내대 띵 키보드니 뭐 배워 버려.
And also in the case of practitioner, you have to be kind of stable or consistent. So you stick with one practice and keep on doing that. Not like today you do something, tomorrow you do something else, and then tomorrow totally different thing like that. If you keep moving, jumping like that, then you don't get anywhere. So you have to be more stable or consistent.
Okay. 세상에서 비벨루스라 지으래. 이 팀은 마틴로 인사했다. 두 장의 가는 거 가지는 게. 내가 지금 인사해줘.
So there's something better. If you cannot pull up, at least you can drag down.
제사까지 두 자고 그런 거지.
So you have to, kind of persuade yourself to do the practice consistently.
어제 다티 쇼가 좀 되게 되지 고정도 되지 고도.
That's what you can understand from the verse 17.
tempo 그래서 그대는 tempo이고 그래서 돼.
Be stable.
내수까지 소존되고 하는 연구래. 내수까지 소존되고 하는 연구마다 임반나. 유추수 매가지고 그래서.
So something can happen the way we want, and something may happen not the way we want. But we should not be very changing all the time.
아니 나도 달래야 뭐 배나 tempo지 뭐 장대지와는 미참하게 자주식으로 와.
So in the world, if somebody is stable and honest, then people will all trust and rely on that person. So this is how we say in Tibetan culture. Is it like that in English, in Westerner? You have to be honest. You have to be stable, like that. Do you say like that to people?
Reliable.
Yeah.
Be a man or woman of your word. Yeah.
Yeah. And however, 제가 또 내가는 거 제가 다 내가도 그디나 데모지와나 그디나 거다가 되는 거잖아. 비타민이 자샤고. 그디는 요ting이나 고 자샤샤고.
If the person is honest and stable, then people will trust. If the person keeps changing all the time, other people will not trust him.
이제 다 저렇게 좀 제대로 하면 장세대 먹어야 돼야. 단 되게 대나데 덴바마나 장세나지 지요. 장세대다 간지 그 메토고 지침보이 거라 되나지. 근데 그디나 덴바마 되게 제바나 장세도 치바레스.
And then in the verse Chopira,
이제 건축 좋아요. 대제시다 말하고 숨겨서 봐. 아니 니는 봐봐. 장세다고 메토다고 뭐 잡아대고 쓰면 내가 장세다고 해야 돼 પછી 덴바고.
Like it says, like there are three different kinds of ordinary speeches. Like this, it's like a honey, like a flower, and like a field. So, like a honey, is referring to, I think, the truth.
장세대다 지침을 버려. 장세 지침을 해. 지침. 그런 지침. 덴바.
And then the honey is like what, nutritious, right? Is it?
제가 지금 덴바들 가지고 다들 잡주서 그러면 가지고 잡되게 생각이 들어와.
Just like the honest, the truth in a word, it has a valid reason as a support, back support, right?
다들 직대는 조다시 돼 이거죠. 어디지? 다 된리 제와이나 아니가도 다 지금 대원은 저거다. 아니 대원은 내도는 대원으로 내도는 강사 시험에 안에 다 대원은 저거다 이거 그래 사는 거고.
So if you do that, if you're like that, then you will, go from happy to happy, right? And so there's like among the, four, right? So there are four different types of migrations, right? So migrating from the happy realm to happy realm, migrating from happy to unhappy realm, or migrating from the unhappy to happy realm, or migrating from unhappy realm to unhappy realm. And so if you do like that, then you will be able to go from happy to happy, or from light to light. So if you are able to do that, then just the result is just like it said in verse 20. So like it reads here in the verse 20, it says, understand that people are like mangoes. Some are unripe, but appear to be ripe. And some are ripe, but appear to be unripe. And some are unripe ones appear unripe, and some unripe ones appear ripe. So So this is referring to the example, right, of the fruit mango. The mango, when you look at it, it appears as it's ripe, but then when you open it inside, it's not ripe.
아니 주로다나야 파다나야 문데 봤잖아. 나라야 문데 봤 내지 요래서.
Some they appear to be unripe from outside, but then it's ripe inside.
아 가지 아직 나말라야 시마마 왔다 대용 거래서.
So then some they ripe, they appear ripe, then they are ripe. There are some they are not, appear not ripe, and then also unripe.
아 시나 네가 마음 같이 요거라 대용 거라 와.
There's unripe, both outside and inside, right?
어제 다 된대서 다 냠래 봐서 깨트는 잡고 그래서.
So the practitioner can be applied in this kind of example to the practitioner.
아니 파때 위달라야 아니 주로 파때 믿음이 시시도 야로 요사로 계좌지나 두디가는 계좌니 요시 되게. 어떤 믿는 거는 냠래 봐진 누서 된대 요래서.
And somebody like when you see that person, he appears like a very great practitioner, and the way he speak, so gentle, and all these good things that he speak about, makes him appears like he's very good practitioner.
얘는 나로라다 지금 나도 휴체보 선대가 소소한 대화도 좀 맞아와나 아니 루치는 마당에들이 가와도 그런 도시가 되네 여러와.
But inside, holding very strong grasping at the self and to one's view, and no matter what others says, will not give up one's view.
제다 나도 지도 같이지. 어때? 다야 미카지지 남는 거니 냠내 밥에 야고요지 나 파타고 그 냠내게 아유나 선대 용 거래.
Some people they can be a very good practitioner from inside, but then the way they appear from outside, people might have doubt, does he even know how to do practice like that?
어디? 다 강산 가실라지. 근데 파테나 때나 그 냠내 받내서 나도 그 냠는 좋게 되는데 내제 용 거래서.
Then some people, they can appear as not a practitioner from outside, but then be a great practitioner inside.
다 대시면 그 대오시면 미카진도 난기 시가다 실로 끝남지 가가지도 이것도 다들 나도 가면 동도.
So you see some people, they're inside, the thoughts or the personality, and the outside appearance is very different.
Right? 다 대 남는 데만 지지해서 망하지 두나도 배 가면 이쪽으로. I miss you. 너무 잘하시네. 잘올라야. 도와줘야 너무 올라기도.
Most of the Westerners are like that, right? So when you talk, you're very nice. Say, oh, I miss you. I'm so happy to see you.
Sorry.
Then in the back, you fight, say bad things about each other.
Oh, no.
다만 들에 뭐 아무도 동도네.
Not all, but you see many of like that.
딱 안되는 녹화서 단 어제 론유시도 녹이
So I see that because I've been here about 20 years now.
제가 가와는 거 가와는 미 모사 도사 미 도사 마 가와는 녹이로 하면 녹이.
I go to all the places, all the places, and meet with all kinds of people. So I see them a lot.
제가 지지는다가 머리 몸에 올라가는 도면이로 와.
Maybe it's also a fault from my side, because of my ignorance. I see it that way.
제가 두글라 답에 이주시 더 와요지. 아니 결론라 아니 두가지 되게 몸을 와. 제가 다대 아니 심을라 마음하면 봐서 됐다.
And so it's some people that from outside they seem like very peaceful, very subdued, but then in the back they quarrel and fight. So that's like they appear to be ripe from outside, but an unripe inside.
다 가지 빼신 딩다나 가리고 오거든요. 아니 그뒤에나야. 아니 가지 다 나는 또 해서 되고 있다.
So this text, what it's saying is that what you have to understand from this is that the sign of being a practitioner has to be inside.
아니 지금 뭐지 넘버를 잘라 방사 쇼세지. 나그 소모 단단데 들어갔다지. 출로래 남주고 남주 간제나 다른로 대세지요.
So this thing, I think by Lam Tsongkhapa, this is transform the aspiration, but stay in the same place. Like means like inside your thought, you transform them, you change them, but outside appearance, stay just as before.
아니 단디 된다 다 노동조가 다 드마타요 말이에요. 다 된다 노동데 드리고 거기까지.
And so anyway, so what is also what you can understand is that you should not act fake.
다이나야 대 소물 되나야 너 탐켜보고다 양시다네 진짜 탐켜와대 빼는 거래.
Of course, this is what is said here, but also you have to use your use your own skillful means to deal with the people.
제자네 강터를 가르치고 있나 야 내가 정보를 못 시간 저 가지나 니게 안에 촉 가디나 강도 랑바 이야가도 되원 거대 근데 소소고 지금 냠도 들어 초보도 개체 뭐야 근데 초보 등조도 빠고 그래서 초보 야보대야 된거 그래서 어떤 일이 진짜 전화도
Then there's also explanation by His Holiness the Dalai Lama on this verse that when we associate or socialize with people, it's we get carried by these people that we associate with. So when they do good, we do good with them. When they do bad, we do bad with them. So it is important to choose the good friends.
안에 다 조방 멤버들이야 안에 다 간에 샘그 샴베기 일로 마땅하지네요 다리 되네요 그래서 어떤 일이 시작도 핸디캡래.
The bad friends, of course, you don't associate with them very closely, but keep a strong sense of love and compassion towards them inside the mind.
왜 다 간에 내게 받는 다 나도 신도 암비 주로 나타나 비 사주 산들라데 나네는 사원의 든지 심어지로 와 오다 간도 지 냠내게 지 쳐도 나 참아 냠내게 문도 받는 거 그래서
And then the last line, it says some ripe ons appears ripe. So like the mango, that it looks ripe, and then also that is ripe from inside. So it should be our, so the external behavior, should be very, good and subdued, calm and subdued, and then internal mind should be also very subdued and subdued like that.
제가 다 삼바다 저와니까야 아니 분수도 봐 여러 쇼단데 템바 지와이나 아니 미기야 자샤와 아니 소소래 기고요 같은 거래서
So then both, the internal mind, the thought, and then external behavior. So if they both are like a ripe mango, then then people will, trust or rely and trust in that person.
어제 간제 아니 따지 이게 주저와라 땜보지 다가나 지금 남쪽이야 지금 매일 증에 마시래 아니 님 장보지 된지 제와이나 아니 지금 쉬당 아니가 문배게 된지 냠내 봐야 고용 거래서 대영화는 아니 저러가 죽긴 하려도네 아니 나와는 남이 받은 거라긴 냠내 받이 못 하고 그래 새로시 된지 거기서 와
So you appear ripe and then you are ripe inside them, like a mango, so it means like you are, you look very subdued and well behaved, and then also inside you have a good thoughts and a very peaceful and subdued mind. Then then just like then through that and like going back to the verse 19, you go from light to light.
어제 다도 좀 원나 아니 나도 그 지금 용어 비슷한데 돌아를 못 좋아하는 지금 땡고 있다 왔지 아니 계좌시오는 지금 로컬 마다 저제 뭐지 아니 계획가야 만받으면 반도도 왔지 반남표대형 신앙이가 마음보다 가르치는 거래 저쪽에 나왔어.
And then say our thought, is like our like afflictive emotions are like drawing in a stone, and our appearance, is unripe outside, and then inside also unripe inside, and then going from darkness to darkness. Why all this happens?
어제 다때 마요 왔 저런 그 공부고 야보 맞으면 제대 가지 뇨모 옛날 뇨모게 접었다 아니 딱 뇨모 지금 딱 가지 뇨모를 카드에 맞춰거든 드린 거예요. 레스 이래 너도 되지.
And the reason why that happens, is because of not not close, not so not closing the door, of the senses, so our senses, and not controlling, our mind, and not abandoning the delusions.
다들 다 쇼로가 유시다치게 되게 다 뇨모 네 딱지다 뭐 보지만 좋더나 레라오 제와 야 가지 깔래 가오 제오들 뭐 보래 다 되나네 아니 쇼치디 다 대시나 잡어라서 그래요. 자 아니 다 잡고 지나라 야지 뇨모 예바들 요 세게레스 제가 아니 공부고 동부레스 그지.
And so then in verse 21, it says that these are the kind of delusions that may arise, like attachment, lust, and so forth, that may arise by coming in contact with certain kind of objects. And so at that time, it is important, to control your senses.
오케이. 다 되게 아니 이제까지 다 그래. 다 내려야 다 지나 잡고인다. 그렇게 아니 미신백이야. 가지 주말에 믿다요 말에스. 됐다 와이나 아니 저랑 소속은 남이라야 강에 되게 저랑 그 변화. 딱그 잡고요 맞아요. 그 뒤값이야. 안저랑 그 되냐라요 내가 그래스. 참 세네냐다 봐. 다 롱이만 가라. 다 니만 다 대상들에게 말와서.
And so then, in verse 21, telling the king that because he's a king, therefore he should be more careful, to not look at other people's wife. And if he does, then that will make him create the negative karma, and also it may harm his reputations.
Okay.
He's a king, right?
저도 내가 거기다 이제 초마마다 토나야 나선 탐방마다 보모다 숨문데 시제지 차제나 마산예다 양다 삼르지스.
So because this is said to the king, so therefore he's referring to the king or somebody like a king, like a male practitioner, right? So it's also referring to the wife. So it said, don't gaze upon another's wife. However, if you do look, think of her as your mother, sister, or daughter, according to her age. If lust arises, contemplate the body's impurity.
다들 가서 잡아서 남들이 모르겠네. 남이 남이 세를 모두 배를 다 저기 쇼도 돼서 거기 한번도 그러봐. 근데 지금 분명히 아무튼 독대와당 통대와 칼라님도 세던 로몽 당걸을 데리가는 것도 세번 갈아야 소설을 녹게 맞이나 아마 이해선 거지. 아니 로 지금 덤바도 거나 아니 비자 공부 이해선 거. 로 주의나 아니 가로 양수도 보고인데 되잖아요. 냠 맞죠? 냠들 로야마도 아니 양이 봐줘 그래. 근데 상고 그래.
And this is also this also applies, to like Tibetan monks. So in Tibetan tradition, monks are quite flexible, open, right? And they associate with all kinds of people. May associate with women, women. So at that time, and when they see women, and then this is what they should think. This is what it's saying in this text, is that someone, if the monk sees some woman who is older, then should see her as his mother, and if she's in the same age as a sister, and if he's younger, then as a daughter.
나도 두어도 나빠한데 다들 지지로도 학제들이 무서 어떤 애가 상고
And so, like nowadays, people, when you meet with the other person, you shake hand or give hug. So at that time, this is how you should think. So this is mainly referring to those, like a monk, and those who who may be in a situation of creating negative karma by doing this. Otherwise, you don't have to be worrying about this.
난 내가 변하다 다 잡고 있어 다 뒤가려야 아니 다 되니 고여 버려 가지 잡고 있바나 가지 다 가서 내가 가는 거나 아니 그 지금 대신에 캠데 되는 거는 아니 젤라야 가디나다 그리고 따또 말렘 좀 맞다세 그거 그래.
So,
저거 좀 맞다세 미션만 가디나 저 자자 딱 맞대서 되는 거고 그래.
자병 맞았어.
시도나 이러다 자병만 가지 껴주셔 나한테 특히 그러고 이제 맞으면 마음대로 고쳐도 돼. 세상도 자병 맞달라고 그래서 근데 내가 딱 만들 될 정말 고해만 가지. 근데 젤라야 껴주셔 맞다세 지고 그래. 조사 봤다요 그래. 껴주셔 장장 쓰면 돼.
싸워서.
뭔가
이제 봤다면 정말 되는 건 자기 말씀.
시도도 데려와. 내가 그런 문제도 나 들어와.
아,
일단 내가 신방도 찍고 하잖아. 근데 가디나 껴줘야지 딱 맞대서. 그리고 그러면 그래.
and then also you can understand in other scenario, like don't look at the false all the time.
껴줘야지 내가 껴줘야 통으로 봤어.
So if you look at the false, then you only see the false.
나 전화기네. 아마다 전화기 부모다. 전화기 세모가 드시는 게 아마다래요. 껴게 잘 통화되는 용거를 해서.
If you look at them as your mother, sister, or daughter, then you see less false in them.
딱 단단하게 껴도나 밑에기 아니 지금 딱 밑에 유모가 시험을 쳐서만 안에서 뭐 맞도 밑에 그런 게 좀 맞다. 그래서 그런 거 아니도.
Then, and if you see the false, then think of that, as and because of think and that because of their delusion, not because of themselves, but because of their delusions. So,
makes
what do you
sense.
think if you think in this way, in that way?
가나 가디나 껴지나 껴져 계제 시험이 시험을 껴도고리. 내가 제대로 껴도가 남들이 가디나 껴지냐 통도와.
Because if you look in the faulty way, then you only see false in them. The way they look, the way they dress, the way they speak, and where they relate to others, everything looks faulty.
다 대마다지 다 무슨 나지 소소고 조고 총모 비비자가 드시라고 하다는 때도 용거를 해서 다당데.
So instead of in looking in the false like that, so if you think of them as your siblings, your friends, your parents like that, then you will see less false in them.
다 단단한 용모도거나 아니 되니 봐줄 때 뛰어야 돼. 그런 게 좀 많이 봐. 아니 용모 좀 많이 와 있나? 어다 수수께는 용모만 집어 팽개래 해서.
And so if you still see the false, then think of the fault is because of the delusion, not because of them, but because of the delusions. So if you think in that way, then it will help you not to see the false.
Oh, that's a good idea. Rica. Gracias. That's a good idea. You really like this. Yeah, you grass over here. Therefore, you don't need to grass. That's a good idea. 어제 다때 제가 되는 앞선가 what you can think? You have to call him. Okay, what you can think? What you can think? Like that, think. 2 verses. We done 2 verses. You guys have any questions?
Geshe, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
So this idea of like, oh, they're having delusions, it's helpful, but then what if you see somebody has the opportunity to maybe grow or see that they're doing these things, but then they keep doing the same thing, right? It becomes very frustrating to see somebody who is doing the same thing over and over again and understanding that it's a delusion, but it keeps going.
네가 담보 내가 다 네가 가르치는 소수절은 영어만 제가 답이 되셔야 돼요. 소수절.
So you have to understand the point here, is that you don't create negative, thoughts in you.
되는 거 아니면 다 봐줘도 쪼요 말도 나가요 말이야. 대 봐줘도 가르쳐 놓고 야제 얘기 시작하고 말했어.
So we're thinking, of the way to reduce our own negative, thoughts about others, and it's not trying to say that the others don't have fault or we can change them like that. And no, there's no way nothing we can do about them. It's just main point is to change our own mind.
그럼 미 봐줘 그만 정이나 그거 저는 뭐야 말어. 내가 따다야 따요 말어.
Like if other person is stealing, it's bad, right? It's naturally bad. It's really bad, you know. There's nothing you can do, and you can't make that good, you know. But you know, from your side, you can, you know, think in different ways so that you don't create negative, you know, thought towards that person.
Okay? 제가 네가 이 파초를 뛰어 말 라고 말다.
So it's not saying that other person don't have faults.
아, 들리 소소 공로 마사베 돈이 소소된 대화의 이미지나 근데 랍자죠. 딱 코디요가 하는 말로 답시죠.
But try not to get angry towards that person by seeing their action, right? So if it's someone, you know, you are close with, and someone that will maybe pay attention to you or listen to you, then you try to give that person advice not to do those things. But if other than that, then, you know, if that person will not listen to you or someone who's not close to you, then you can't do much.
제가 삼삼래야 계시 시월에 마시는 야가.
And then in that case, maybe, you know, it will be better just stay quiet, you know, rather than trying to say something and then make the person even more angry.
Okay? It makes me clear.
Yes, thank you, Geshe-la.
Yeah.
Geshe-la, I think I have a question.
Yeah, please.
When the verses, they tell us to like think of it as the delusion when we're having negative thoughts of others. Would I be correct in thinking like, oh yes, it's their delusion, but also I'm thinking these negative thoughts about them because of my own delusions?
Yeah, or you can also think it that way. Maybe that doesn't have their, they don't have, that they're not bad person as what we see, but our own negative or delusion make more, add more that. Think also that way. Then also maybe they have more delusions or bad person. You can think both way. That the purpose here is not talk about he or they or them good or bad, but not, you know, what is it, cultivate or our own negative thoughts, delusions, like that.
It's a way like to not find faults with them, to feel like if
Yeah, so this is by thinking in that way, so it at least helps oneself to not create negative thoughts in oneself. So this is like in the case of a monk, you know, if when he interacts with the woman, then he should see them as a, you know, mother, sister, or daughter according to their age, to help themselves not to create lust or attachment towards them.
Okay, it makes sense a little bit.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Geshe-la.
Good, thank you. Look at I'm pass. Okay.
Geshe-la, I didn't understand why you, at the beginning of that verse you were saying it was for the king or for monks, because it seems like it's for anyone. If someone is married, then you don't want to generate lust towards them.
Yeah.
Or if you're married, you don't want to generate lust towards them.
Exactly. Yeah, this is true that right now here maybe that channel 되게 주는 말 was 미시에 빠졌다 소소치 간지.
나라다. 김바이나 집어라다.
김만나 가도 로염 세대도.
왜 이거?
세대 제 좋은 말이지. 아니 난 너한테 그 도와도 괜찮은 말이야. 거든.
누가 그랬어요? 이러서 저랑 때는 나도 신청으로 저도 그냥 말해 가지고 더치들 라고 그랬어.
내 라야 됐다 디자인 뭐 내가 코트 괜찮은 거 was. 오늘 전화 산지 좀데 로염 세대 something. 그래서 집어랬어. 소소를 집까지 미셰베가 다 손셰베가 좋아지면 되는 양도도 내가 보여 말했어. 가셔야 돼. 뭐지 뭐 많이 봐. 미셰베가 다 손셰베가 좋아지면 양도에 말했어. 다 좋고 말했어. 잡혀 오시네. 나와야나 안에 소소 내 지기 남이 갖다는 거다. 요다 먹으라 그랬어.
저도 코란스에 때렸다. 저랑 따게 되는데 더 얼추 붙이고 그랬어.
당에 세워졌다. 누마들 코 사나 카드도 싫어. 지금 말아. 그 진대도 올라.
So Geshe-la said, you know, because here in the West, people don't consider that as a bad. You know, husband, wife, you know, separating, divorcing, it's very like a common thing.
It's like common.
Like that, so that's why. But yeah, of course, otherwise you're right, if you see somebody else's wife, and look at that person, with attachment, and then you follow that attachment, then you can create a problem, right? So of course, when you see somebody else's wife, and if you do that, that becomes adultery, that's creating the mixed conduct. And so therefore, of course, even if you are a lay person, then when you look at other person's wife, or if you are already married and you have a wife and then you see another woman, then you should see that woman as mother, sister, or daughter according to their age. And that way, you will not create you will not create any problem in yourself if you are married, or if the other person is married.
Okay, like that. You're right. Yeah, but I didn't really took it serious because here just hard like that way. It's like country. It's the generation.
Well, when you read the graphic descriptions about, meditating on the impurities of the body,
Yeah.
you think like, maybe that's more for the monks.
Exactly like that.
Yeah, but also it's the same for the lay person, lay people. You can also think to get rid of your attachment.
Yeah.
Because even if the lay person also have a strong attachment, think of that as a pure joy.
Okay. Okay. 다 오늘 틀리지 가지 영어 되겠어. 다 되라서 오늘 다 틀리 요로서 가지 영어 되겠어. 나와나 되게 랜드 쇼가 자니 되냐고 와서. 가지는 틀리 영어 되버렸어. 다 요로 틀리 고 가지 두 되버렸어. 나.
그렇죠.
다 지금 가지 소리라 내 소소 고 담마트면 요로 돼 가지 영어 되겠어. 뉴모 봐라 갑자기 짱와도 어디 가지 영어 되겠어. 다나데가는 요모 같이 짜고 올라가고 와서 아니 공부고 덤고 올라가 다 오늘 공부 너무 맞다마다 가지고 그랬어.
남수도 그대로 쓰고 있어.
다 오늘 담수대 땀 맞다마다 가는 용 그랬어. 오늘 같이 지금 오늘 간지 담고 올라가이나 아니 주산이 되겠다.
Then in the verse 22, it explains, how you should control, your senses.
아니 다 이업이 선 아니 가로 통 보다 봐라. 대저 소당 잡으라. 대저 소당 잡으라. 송지대 누바 두당 손당 잡아당 매진대 배달라 인준데스.
It says like protect your wavering mind as if it were your education, child, treasure, or life. And so that's how you should protect your mind, wavering mind or the senses. And then it says renounce the sensory pleasure, for they are like a poisonous snake, weapons and enemies and fire. So you should think of them as in that way, and then that way you can that way you will be able to abandon them.
다들 요에서 다 가르쳐 줬어요. 말아서 이 샘더 깨찍 찌자 사실 대도 말했다. 하나 벌로 되게 그랬어.
So it says wavering mind, right? So it's like our mind, it's always moving around, not able to sit even for a second in one place, and it's going everywhere. Every moment it's going different places. It's called wavering mind.
제대로 까맣게 곰자 때도 못해. 샘 로장도 와.
It's difficult for us to meditate single pointedly even for 1 minute, right? Because the mind is wavering around all the time.
Okay, we'll try. Okay, we go to meditation. 1 minute. Okay. Everyone think your mind, your own. But everyone a book. You got that book. Some people have book. Okay. Samega, you will same time 간다. You will same this same shade this. Shema fashiwaji.
So just think about the wavering mind.
Not about. Just keep that. You will same shade.
Just wavering mind. Just
Not
attention
about.
on a wavering mind. Just think about the wavering mind, and just think about wavering mind. Don't think anything else. Just think about wavering mind.
Think about the control somewhere. You will same 가와도 somewhere.
You will send us some time.
Okay.
You will send us some time.
대대로 그냥 실 미시들 따내 되는 미시들 카운트 미시들 고고들 라운드도 시고도 따야 뭐다. 미시들 그런 거 하고 되는 거지.
So like just like you're looking at the glasses, your spectacles. If you're looking at your glasses, then you're just looking at the glasses. So just looking at the glasses, not thinking anything about the glass. Is it round? Is it a rectangle? Or is it black? Is it white? Not thinking about anything. Just looking at the glass only. So I mean, if you think about the wavering mind, what is wavering mind? A mind that moves around all the time, right? So that's the wavering mind. But then again, it's difficult to really, just single pointedly concentrate on that only. So so instead of thinking about the mind itself, just think about the word, the wavering mind, right? Just the word.
Just the word.
Just the word. So the thinking is just pay attention on that word, wavering mind.
Concentration there, not thinking about. Okay. Okay, ready? Try to 1 minute. If you lose, please you raise your hand, okay? Be honest. It's okay, it's nothing wrong, you lose, But how they look at the same thing. You know this.
So here we're talking about the wavering mind, right? So mind is wavering around all the time, not even able to sit in one place for 1 second. But you are trying to keep it for 1 minute. So
Okay, try, okay?
good luck.
Is it the sound of the word or
Even there before the start, already I don't know sound, but the color.
See,
That's
Word.
yeah.
Not an example, but the
Yeah.
word itself.
Yeah, just word itself. You will
sound
sound.
word.
Okay, sound word, okay?
Okay.
If you lost, you went to end, okay? Lose some people more serious. I don't know, you got concentration or you just looking at something? Just on the passion, you will something, Kitchen that over is.
So this is what the wavering mind is. Will not be able to sit in one place even for a second.
What happened? Are you okay?
I'm trying to think of wavering mind and Thomas the Train came to mind.
You're doing a good job because that's wavering.
Like that.
제자 대양 요와 대양 쌤 요목을 좀 봐요 그래서 give us more words.
So usually it's wavering towards the non-virtuous object, not the virtuous object.
아니 대양 요사 대양 요목 제사가 여러 봐요 그래서.
And it wavers towards the object from where the delusions arise.
예? 제상 다 대라야 아니 야고 쏘고 그래서.
And so we have to protect that mind.
다 손으로 갔는데 딱 가지고 둘바 채워잖아. 염나 수도 로로 채잖아. 대 맞제와 탑시 채는 야고 쏘고 대나지 쏘고 그래서 배대칭지.
And so then the example it gives like you have to protect like the education, like something you study, right? You study, and to learn, so that you don't forget like that. So how you protect that, you have to protect it in that way.
두 번째는 쏘더만 수도 로로다 맞제와 채는 수도 대를 배치 나도도.
And so if you are able to protect that, then you will not forget the education or the knowledge, and then you'll be able to use it for a good reason.
Right? Example, what's your education for the dancing, teach dancing, right? 제가 저한테 제메와다 단단한 저는 딱 가지 잡아다 단단 띵을 지도 그러고.
Dance, you teach dance, right?
Right.
So your education, your knowledge about the dance, right? You keep that, so to not forget it. You try not to forget it. You try to, keep it in your mind all the time. You try not to forget it. So you try that, like you are making effort to do that, right? So you're kind of protecting your knowledge, your education, your knowledge, and so that way you can, do the job and get paid for that and so forth. So that's because you're protecting that.
제가 가지고 없는 수준은 가지 로좀 없는 두배 맞아봤지 혹소 때지 버려서.
And so you protect it from being forgotten, being forgotten.
답변을 드리는 거 지금 손을 쳐보자. 지금 손으로 저거나 다시 강한 쳐봐대. 생각 맞아버지네. 야보지 되다 봐야나. 아니 가도 되다 막아버지네. 소리 입어 보고 만도.
Then if there was a big meeting, and then in the meeting, whatever the decision was made in the meeting, and so then you have to say, okay, I have to remember that. So if you remember that, then you will not break that, right? You will not break, the laws that they have made, and then from that, then you will not create the problems for yourself.
내가도 제가 나도 정하고 빼나 number 춤도 빼고 하고도 30분 되게도.
So like you remember all the laws in this, I mean most of the laws that's needed for you to keep yourself safe, right? You remember that.
You got very good, right? Especially I don't know how to education you guys, you learn from school or 그들의 저도 this is again the law, this is again the law. 에 저도 삼나 야보냐래도.
So those things that you need to know, you keep them in your mind very well.
어때 송 대하고 송을 그래서.
So that's protecting. That's what it means, protecting here.
강원도 변은 듣는다고 이거 하던데 듣는데 봤대 야 대그 소리야 돼야 아주 전소적이 그래.
So like you recite, many of you do the 6-session Guru Yoga, right? And in the 6-session Guru Yoga, you have so many vows that you recite. So that's to remember those vows so that you don't transgress them.
대자 수수기 아니 샘데 다시 나오는데 샘 수수기 샘데 그걸 두고도 가르치는 용문도 그디는 딱하가 되고 그래 이제 거다.
And so you should always, watch your mind. Always, look at your mind and see where it's going. Whether it's going towards the bad objects, the good objects, and always try to, stay in the good objects.
You know how much time it. And that 가대다 간지 용문을 찍거나 용문 찍어보다 하고 오잖아. 딱 그만 somebody.
So most of the time we don't pay attention to those mind, right? Yeah. So if we recognize that this mind is generating the delusion, and then you will be able to, oh yeah, it's delusion, I should not have it. You will know that. If you don't even recognize that, then you wouldn't know how to prevent, how to abandon it or how to abstain it from arising in your mind. And so just like if you don't know the thief, you will not be able to catch it. If you know the thief, at least you can catch it, or you can put it in the jail and like that.
아무나 빼셔마지나 소소를 빼나 아마지라 붙이나 붙이주 얘네 다와시가 좀 이제 달로 진이 발로 아마도 쉬어 송거마 오다네 두비 붙다 봐봐 송거 소소인데.
The other example is like the child, right? So the beloved child, especially when they are young, like 1 month, to 8, 9 months, they're very fragile, right? So at that time, mother will be paying more attention and will protecting more. So it should protect one's mind like that.
Okay, that one 소소 email that and then bank account password 나시네요. 털은 맞지가지 여우냐고 그래서.
So just like you protect your passport, email password, account password, the bank account password, you protect them, right? So you should protect like that.
네가 뭐지 때다고 얘기했는데 그때 가면 간지 수수 잘라고 내가 제대로 갖다 쉬냐 돼요.
So and then other one is example is like the treasure, the valuable objects, right? You keep them in a safe and protect them, right? So just like that.
들리지네. 들리지 송고래. 들리지네 다 송고래. 다 간지고 수수고 쏙나지지네 수수고 샘도 송고래.
So just like one's life, just like you protect your life, you should protect your wavering mind.
가리성원은 샘도 너무 원도 뭐도 샘도 가르치기도 가르성것도 가르고도 됐다고 그래서.
Well, what you should do is to check your mind, whether it's generating delusions or not. What it is thinking, what it is looking at, and whether it's generating delusions or not.
다 됨, 마성화였나? 네가 가르쳤나? 두배 들었다. 아니 딱 그냥 너 말아서 드럭 소리는 나도 세거든 봐. 그래서 샘 맞았나? 아니 수.
또 저기 대화를 쓰면서.
두당당다 들었다 좀 맞아.
가만히 잠깐만.
매진 대담하고 보는 거래. 다들 뭐뭐도야. 대래 뭐뭐도. 나까지 저울아 본 손자. 야만 나는 저거 소집에 뚝 된적이네 수도 있는 거 찍으래서
말마디 소승은 저기 너배 되어져라. 너배 되어도 내려 상고서 왔어. 말로 찍대 사람.
되도와 대화를
네 버중스다.
아니 되게 때때 튼다만 들어
그래.
대담을다
맞대. 저
되게
정말
그랬다.
정말
되게
삼례 때는 네 버중스다.
근데 동아집이 손다 개시 잡았다 스비 매전다 더비 대화라 연주지와 어제다 간제 돈을 또 돈을 차병을 두고 해서 이제 그 차병을 내버려야 아니 둘도 받친다 아니 저거는 손다 아니 지금 사마 세션이 메타가 되게 되시잖아요 내가 맞아고 그래서
너배 되어서.
노비다가
Yeah, so then it says, they renounce the sensory pleasure, for they are like poisonous snake, weapons, enemies, and fire. So by thinking of them, the sensory pleasure, they all bring all these sufferings to us. Just like, the poisonous snake, if they bite us, we'll get pain and we may even die, right? And then weapons that injure us, or the enemies who cause pain and suffering, and then fire that burns us. So we should think of these sensory pleasures like that.
오케이 제다다 샘데 이거 완전 따와지 마스모이나 되게 니가 된 거예요.
And so if you don't protect, or control your wavering mind, and these kind of dangers can happen.
오케이 다들 레디어 다가도 손다다. 다들 남을리가 이야지. 내가 성마한테까지 다들 도착도 되는 거지.
And so you can see whether it's true or not, just by looking at all the things, all the bad things that are happening in this world. It's all because of the attachment to the sensory pleasures, right?
여기까지라고 간지 적금도 받는다. 왕체주자들이 지금 나오지 지고지 왕자 되니까 안에 내가 차네 대왕을 주고 되는거.
And then like the countries, they fight with each other because they want to have the power, right? It says, I want to have the more power. I want to have more power. This country says, I want to have more power. The other country says, I want to have more power. And because to gain that power, then they fight with other countries.
난 이거 사유를 담아 돌려 봐야 돼. 딱 빼줘를 봐. 빼주고 지금 봐서지. 수수지 대전이 오라잖아.
Then there's the financial problems. Also, these are again by having this strong attachment towards that.
제가 가들 위험에 있으면 내 차고 위험이 아무나 욕먹고 욕먹 두서고 위험에 쌤데 따보 맞아봤지 되게 더와 나시 지는 저와 있나 어다도 가 잡려왔다 매게 tun려왔다 근데 잡은 동걸 순리가 되게 동안도 연구를
So the wavering mind, as I said, wavering towards the delusions, towards the negative, unvirtuous objects, right? And so from there, then comes all these problems. So not controlling that mind, which is going or generating all kinds of delusions and attachment, anger, and so forth. And because of that, then we create all these negative karmas, right? And then experience all these sufferings. So just like like the poisonous snake, the weapon, enemies, and fire, like that. And so so this comes all from an unwavering mind.
제단 내차 샤나 뜨무고 위험이 쌤 되게 너와나지 소리게 내가 그 대바티 아니 가지 두든 줘봐 아니 소자든 줘봐 매도 좀 말해서 다만 경험해 와서 그래서
Sorry, so this is from the wavering mind, right? So it all comes from the wavering mind, and so being attached to all this samsaric pleasure or sensory pleasure, it's like it's like a poisonous snake, weapon, enemies, and fire. At the end, it harms to us.
대인바대 단다 대중만에 쇼주 나와서 그래 아니 도파는 딱까지 내차 이해도 가르나 아니 손아 찍바래 두다 찍바래 아니 야사도 찍바래 자오도 찍바래
And also, it's said in the Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life that the sensory pleasure, like a poisonous snake, also, and it's like a downfall or cliff, where you fall down and you suffer. So it gives more example in the Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life.
Okay, what do you think? You guys believe that? Yes.
So this verse 21
22, it seems like about when as you explained, it seems like mindfulness, that from the concentration we learned in the past, we study about the concentration. So like wavering mind, like first verse, 21 verse seems like it's like mindfulness of body is guilty, like, so like it seems like this second 22nd verse, it seems like that, so stable mind is better than wavering mind, so it's like a concentration, going back to the, is that correct understanding?
Okay, what do you understand?
From both verses, well, from verse 22nd, I feel like it's a conscientiousness, to protect the mind. You can't control your mind, you can't protect your mind. It's like, you look. It's like many people have the habit; they'll look at the news and it really upsets them, and they get a very angry mind, but if they don't protect the mind from it, it's like, well, don't look at it if it makes you angry, right? I mean,
What's your essence for that understanding?
for that verse,
Yeah.
Just you have to protect your mind as if it's as valuable as anything else that you consider valuable, like your children or your wealth or.
What about?
Hard to see sensory pleasure as.
Where's Mark? He's not up. Okay.
Or did you say Mark or Bob?
No, he's not. I say you, but I just.
I just think it's hard to see sensory pleasure as negative.
dove doshadera, dove chambasa, first no, dove chawasoro, dove dewade, dove cham, dove dewade, ane ma dota de do dugjen da de me da de do ta de khaborashas.
Oh, that's true. That's really true. They made it on that capture the child there.
That's very true because because we don't have that, right? We don't have the way, ability to see that in that way. Therefore, we run after that, and then we end up suffering all the time.
Okay. That thing money part. That was the time you went to watch.
So if we look at that, going to the last week's debate, all the suffering, right? So things are coming at, looking at all this, seeing. I mean, because we're not able to see that as a negative or suffering, therefore we are not able to give up attachment. Otherwise, actually, it's all suffering. All the sensory pleasures or the samsaric pleasures are all suffering.
Okay. What do you understand?
The only thing I would add on 22 is, in addition, is that I like what it said here, protect your wavering mind as if it was your education child, treasure, or life. If you lose your mind or you lose that, then you lose everything. That's like the most important thing. If you don't take care of your mind, then then everything else, what does it matter?
Okay. If your points are different, you are the same or different. Similarly, combined together. Okay. Okay. How about you guys? Yeah. Can you guys say something? How about the Dana?
I was also thinking about this idea of sensory pleasure, but also it feels very helpful to be afraid of it, right? Like a poisonous snake. Like it's not just saying, oh, I shouldn't do it. It's like, oh my God, I really this is really scary. Like it will have negative consequences. So I really was thinking about that.
I also had a thought similar to Dana's, where I was thinking that it's very, very, very difficult to see sensory pleasures as negative. But then I was thinking of this time, like I really like mint chocolate chip ice cream, and I'd like have my first bite of ice cream, and I'm like, yo, this is the best thing ever. This is, the key to my happiness. And you end up eating the whole tub of ice cream, and then you're just sick and angry at yourself and angry at ice cream, and you don't ever even want to think about ice cream ever again.
That's good, yeah. Doctor said don't eat ice cream, but I like to eat ice cream. Hard to stop. Okay, how about clear? Clear, right? The Asian group, clear it.
I think it's Clara.
Kara. How about Kara?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. What do you think? You think that's true, or you?
I think true that a lot of, not a lot, sensory pleasure brings the suffering because it won't ever be satisfying, and I don't know, I guess, try to think of example. Oh, example, like there's so many, like the ice cream example, but even there are so many natural foods that you can eat that actually will, what's the saying? Like there's so many even plants that are natural, but there's always side effects. So even your body every day is kind of decaying and dying. So you trying to attach to things to save it or attach to things just because it feels sensory nice, it's always going to end up like whatever comes up has to go down. So all of the high pleasure feeling has to fall because you'll be stuck at, and if you are attached to one state or the other, I guess you'll be lost. But my question was, because at the end, when it kind of, last time it kind of turned into debate about happiness and pleasure, there's a difference maybe between like sensory pleasure or temporary happiness and like actual bliss, like real joy. I don't know how to say it. Something like this.
딱 가서 때때 내가 그때 동화들 내가 그때 어디로 동화 샤이면은 다들 그냥 따다 하고 막서 맞아 가는 이런 것만 되는 거죠. 써봐야 봐. 다들 또 가라 동화를 말아 동화를 이게 뭐니 동화를 이게 내가 그때 어래 아니 내가 그때 어면은 되게 규대되네 가라다. 내가 그때 어면 그때는 동화를 하셔야 되겠어. 동화에면 그때 규대되네 가라다 겨울에 가라 미겨울에서 가라서 내 기대 시도
That's true. That's true. They are all complex, lot of debate, lot of discussions. 때문에 딱 안고 갔는데 동아리가 그 tempo에 말이야. 줄로 그랬어. 동아리가 발전하면서 그 대화 때문에 말이더라고 그랬어. 내가 대화 좀 해봐. 아무리 대화 문에 대화서 됐다 템포에 봐. 동아리는 아주 반전점 나오더라고 그래.
So when we talk about the sensory pleasure, it is talking about the temporary happiness, temporary. So it appears as happiness at the beginning, then it later changes into suffering. So just like the ice cream example, and anything else, that changes into suffering. So after some time, you experience that, like we feel like it's a pleasure at the beginning, but then it changes into suffering. So that's called the temporary happiness, and it's called also suffering of change.
Okay. Okay, then how about Sharon and Morny and Andrew? Andrew, you mood? Are you talking?
Good.
Deborah. First. Now.
I'm here. The way I look at it, senses in and of themselves aren't the big problem. I think it's the mental habit, right? So when you say a child, right, you don't want a child to create bad habits. So you tell them to make good habits, brush your teeth, whatever. So if you always, what the problem is if the senses can lead you to pursue certain desires. The problem really comes is then that leads to attachment. And attachment is the essence of samsara. So it's a process. So it's the antithesis to what a mind that would be loose and spacious and moving towards the realization of emptiness. It's the exact opposite. So you're not making good mental habits.
They have no idea what you're talking about.
Attachment is the essence of something.
Yes.
I think Mark was saying that the sense pleasure itself, like for Buddha can experience the sense pleasure and it's no problem. But, or maybe somebody who's liberated from samsara, who's reached liberation can experience it. It's not a problem. But for us, we experience it, we generate attachment and we chase after it more and more.
Feeling is not.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is that perhaps the sensory objects themselves are not the problem, but inappropriate relationships to the sensory object are the problem. I think that's what he's saying.
He's too lazy to know that. He just walk here to here. He just from here out to here, just one job.
Why would like say your 8th, 9th, or 10th level bodhisattva still avoid sensory pleasure?
Together.
I have a question. Isn't there? I was gonna say, don't some high practitioners use sensory pleasure to help their practice a little, or is that not correct?
Yes, you can use that, for your practice if you are not controlled by that, desire. If you can control the desire, then you can use that. Instead of that controlling you, if you can control, it, then you can use it for your practice. Yes. So, but we're talking about the wavering mind here, right? So wavering mind here is which, moving around, and especially moving towards the desired objects, like negative objects or delusional objects, and because of that, then you create more desires or delusion, and then that creates more stuff that brings more suffering, and so that's what the wavering mind is referring to.
How about we don't have to talk, okay? Just kidding. Okay, anything to Maureen you want to say? Maureen, Deborah?
Well, I was just thinking before, I agree with some things that Mark said, but to me, if you have control, exert control over your mind to the extent that you can, and anything that's a sensory pleasure, if you're not attached to it, you can enjoy it and then pull back and just, sort of in moderation, kind of things in moderation. Like you could eat ice cream and enjoy it, but not eat a whole pint of it. But you still could enjoy it. So I don't see anything wrong with enjoying something, but the problem is when you get so attached to it, you can't let it go. That's what I see as the big problem. And if you have control over your mind on some things, then you can do that at times. But it's the attachment that's the attachment is really the problem here. I don't think the pleasure is, but anyway.
Yeah, if you can limit, to maybe 1 spoon of ice cream or 2 spoons of ice cream, then it's okay, right? But if you take the whole plate of ice cream, then there's a problem.
Oh, correct. That is correct. But 1 teaspoon is not enough. No. No. At least 4.
If you can limit, if you can control the limit, and then of course, it may not bring problem. Like alcohol. So if you drink to the limit, then it will not problem maybe. But if you put drinking, then you get drunk, and then you get all into problems, and that can cause. So that's because of not limiting.
Yeah. Right.
You can control your limit, then not much problem.
Okay, yes.
To that, I heard this saying, and I think it kind of applies. A person enjoys a drink, drinks the drink. An alcoholic, the drink drinks the drink. So flat balance.
Talking about here. I mean, the Buddha never said, you can, drink and or you can steal in moderation or steal in moderation or anything. I mean, what we're talking about is I mean,
Buddha doesn't talk that you can do like that. Buddha doesn't give any permission.
the Koda Medan Misa Digger. If you can kill somebody without delusion, it's okay.
we think, just by eating one spoon of ice cream, then we've overcome our delusion to, we're not attached to ice cream, but that's not.
It's not overcome.
I don't think anybody said that. I think we were giving examples.
No, but to say that you, it's not the object, and the way, because this is making it sound like you have to remove yourself from the object in order to protect your mind.
아니 아줄래 근데 아이스크림 사면 계셔 말해 가지 될 대화를 롱 대차셔다 뜨모 원은 저네 될 주시 맞거나 되게 아줄래서 야네는 거기서 다 이거 말했어.
Yeah, so that's true. Like if you have the habit of eating, then you will go after it. So if you control not to eat, then you will not go after it, right? So if you go after it, then you have to make an effort, you have to spend money. You have to go through the hardship. So yes, of course, if you don't get into it, then that's better, the best. So it's saying, yeah, of course, don't get into it. But even if you get into it, but if you get to to limit, then it will not be that big problem. But yes, it's still a problem. Because even if you eat to the moderation, but if you have that habit of eating, then you might end up eating more. So today you eat a little bit, and tomorrow again you have to want to eat. So the main point is to not have attachment. So as long as you eat it and you go for it, then it shows that you have attachment. So if you have attachment, and it can always bring more and more desires, to have more and more of those things, those sensory pleasures, and therefore that will bring more. So best is to control your attachment or any kind of delusions. It's the same. And yeah, so so protect your wavering mind is like you have to be aware, conscientious of your actions, body, speech, and mind. Any kind of mind, when it arises, if it makes yourself unhappy or people around you unhappy, that's a delusion of mind, and you should try to avoid that kind of mind. And then any kind of mind, when it arrives in your mind, and then it brings happiness to yourself or happiness to others around you, then that is a virtuous mind, and you should strive to generate more of those minds. So what kind of mind is rising? The mind that when it rises, it brings the happiness, or the mind that rises when it rises, it brings unhappiness. You have to check that yourself.
Okay. Make sense? Does that make sense? Are you following that? Okay, like that. I think we already done the question and answers. That's not the question. What
do you think of that last week? Come to the conclusion. The happiness of fishing is a result of the virtuous action or non-virtuous action?
Happiness of fishing.
Yeah.
Unvirtuous. I wasn't here for it, but I mean, that's my teacher.
Yeah. Everybody will think in that. Now you know that it is the result of happiness. I mean, the result of virtuous action. So,
It's a really bad word.
Howard, you know, when you don't meditate and think, then you will think in that way. But when you meditate and think, then you will think in that way.
How is the happiness of fishing?
No, it's not happiness. You're talking about the tingling.
Pleasure, the pleasure.
Pleasurable feeling, all pleasurable feelings.
Enjoy the fishing the carp. Enjoy your fishing.
I'm slow, you know.
That, for instance, is that all pleasurable feelings is a result of past virtue, right?
Yes.
So if you have a pleasurable feeling while fishing, for instance, or engaging in sexual misconduct or something, is that pleasurable feeling the result of past virtue? And we say yes.
Oh, that's a
You're saying yes,
way
no?
to analyze that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So because I was talking last week, I was
Strong attack.
in which is a bad one, really bad one.
Mhm.
So you're literally going around. But if you pinpoint the feeling of that pleasurable feeling or just karma. So the pleasure itself, feeling pleasure itself.
You need to move it.
But it will ripen associate with the negative
Condition.
action, negative
Mhm.
condition.
Yeah, the condition.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking.
So the conclusion is yes, is the result of the virtues. But rapen is non-virtuous action. This is okay. Kukyongamal, kadin leji sasha pingi, drewa inpachi, yinan. In drewa the mega chende ya, the shiba yungro, the yung chosabe. The lamram kuthidijana, the yung chosabe.
Yeah. So, you know, it can be, you know, the pleasure itself can be the result of the virtuous action, but, you know, but the condition for arising that can be a negative action.
Okay?
Can I just say it out in my
You cannot
mind?
say, you need to think.
So it was the act of experiencing the pleasure is the result of past positive
Well, it's
virtue.
not the act of experiencing, it's the
But
experience of
The
pleasure.
so the experience, the arising in the mind of the pleasure is the result of past virtuous action. But for the example of fishing, it's a misappropriation of it, or it's okay.
It's different.
Well,
All right, I guess I do understand that.
misappropriation, I don't really, I mean, the fishing's just the condition that ripened that. It isn't.
So you're
But fishing
saying,
action is negative.
so you're saying if you had never created the virtuous action in the past, it would have been impossible to experience pleasure.
Yes.
Right, well, we see all pleasant feelings are the result of past virtue, right? So how can you have a pleasant
Okay.
feeling?
Fascinating. Yeah, I will have to think about that.
Okay,
Thank you
that's
so
good.
much.
Thank you. 아니 저번에는 포마 찍었대. 야요 공부 근데 저 대다송 대다 빵지 대여 짜도기 대비 또라이지 지대는 근데 내번에는 포마 찍었대 갈줄 갈거. 만족은 내백이 이번에 처음에 가지 나도 직. 너희 저 팀을 상에 다셨어요. 이거 상을 다다죠. 근데 그 내번에 포마 찍었어요.
So now, for you to think about in the verse 23, it says the Buddha said the object of sense leads to ruin, right?
We do that. Okay, this is like homework.
Object of sense leads to ruin, right? So think about that. What does that mean? And what example can you give?
제가 나도 쇼케니 고나 남나 도데 자샤 파시 공화도 따데 되고 도데 도데
So object of senses, right? So object of senses, that's what we're running after all the time, right? From morning to till night, from the time we wake up to go to sleep, that's what we're running after. So that means that we're creating all these ruins, for us.
Okay, just think about it. Okay, then I need to stop. Thank you, guys. Angela, Terry, are you guys there? Heng Chin, Bing. Oh, Phil is there. Good morning. Angela sleeping. The Bing sleeping. Mark sleeping. Actress. I'm just kidding. Guys, do also the read little bit and think mode. They think they know how to protect our mind, our awareness of our mind. Okay? Okay, gentlemen, I will stop.
Page 39 for the Thanksgiving mandala offering. Page 43. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chen Reizig remain in life till samsara's end. Savior of the Snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion. To the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be fulfilled. Page 49. You who uphold the Sasua's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior, myself, and others, your disciples, please return swiftly. Page 57. To this virtue may I swiftly happy gain Buddha's faith, placing and every sentient without exception in that state. Precious supreme body mind, may its wherefore arise, and wherefore never decline, but increase forevermore. Page 75. Mig sacred tension raising, dreaming and Wako Jangaya Ganchen Kepe Suyen Sakrapa Losan Drakli Shablasuma.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Hi, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Mom there? I think she's sleeping. Actress. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Geshe-la.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.